Howdy, and welcome to the Snort Cast. My name is Diana Nguyen, and I am the creator and the host for the show. Now, tell us where you are watching from. We want to know where the Snort Cast is going all around the world. Just put in the comments where you're watching from, and if you're watching on replay or you're watching live, please tell us your team live and let us know where you're watching from, because this show is for all of you, and I want to know if you're snorting along with the Snortcast. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land. I'm standing on Wurundjeri land of the Kulin Nations, and I would like to pay my respects to the elders, past, present, so that we continue to tell our stories. Please tell us where you're watching from. We are live from Melbourne, Australia, and as you can see, my guest is patiently waiting as we are, well, we has to wait because we are actually in a lockdown here in Australia. But I want to tell you what is the Snortcast. And if you haven't found out on LinkedIn or on our Facebook, the Snortcast is a live interview show speaking to comedians like Sam here about why they use comedy in their storytelling. And especially in the times that we are in now, the human race is evolving together because of this pandemic. And as we know, there are so many movements that are happening in the world. So please tell us where you're watching in the world. And if you are a fan of the Snortcast, please follow us. Please follow us on these links on Instagram and Facebook, and go to the website www.diananguyen.com.au/the Snortcast. And this episode is supported by the City of Melbourne COVID-19 Arts Grant. Thank you so much for helping me launch this show, this live show to the community. I've done my talking, I've done my spiel, because I would like to invite our guest who I've known for a couple of years now through the comedy circuit. He is an award-winning comedian whose act brings a critical and fresh voice to comedy and social commentary. He was born in Sudan to Ethiopian parents, but spent the majority of his life in New Zealand. He's a global trotter, and he now lives in Australia. In 2017, then again in 2019, he won the coveted C.o.W Bell at the Comedy Out West Open Mic competition. He's also performing all around Melbourne. Please welcome to the show, Sam, oh, damn it. I knew I'll get it wrong.
You were thinking about it too much.
I know, Sam Gebreselassie. No, Sam Gebreselassie. Like, it's like the G.
Gebreselassie, yeah.
Gebreselassie. Damn it. It's all right too.
This happens every time. Let's make the whole podcast about my last name.
It's Samuel Gebreselassie.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, God. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, before we launch into who you are, let's check out a reel of your work. So this is a movie that you've made, Sam?
It's a web series me and C.o.W wrote and made over the last couple of years, and it's still not out yet, but it's been it's just been like working on it continuously for the last 3 years, I think.
I know that feeling. So no, I know the feeling of creating something that takes 5 years.
yeah, we didn't think it was going to take this long. We didn't even expect it to be this big, but it is what it is now.
It is what it is. All right, so let's check it out. I'll pop it on and just check out Sam's work.
I know going through heartbreaks can be difficult, but don't let that affect your work.
Oh! Hurry up! Oh God! Wish life would be a bit easier. Jesus, Genie!
Hey, my name is Gebreselassie, Genie, not
Jesus, Genie!
Genie. It's what he does before he grants me wishes. He's dancing behind you now. I wish my ex-girlfriend loved me again.
I don't want you to come back here again, okay?
I'm gonna need you to sign this contract.
You look so crazy. Why don't you cut your
Every
hair?
time you make a wish, the world changes.
You new school rappers are
I
whack.
work for real life insurance.
I bet he's one of those African thugs.
Your wish is my command.
Awesome.
So weird watching it.
Well, it's you know, it's
Choreographer Sabla Girma.
there we go. Well, it's your work. You know, it is.
Yeah.
It is daunting when you see work, especially when you do stand up and you have to watch a video of your work.
Yeah, that's. I just got used to it now. Even just listening to my recordings for a long time was so hard to listen. Just hearing your own voice, I think, makes you feel like, oh, is that how I talk?
Yeah. Sam, tell us more about you. Who are you?
Who am I? I don't even know, to be honest. I'm just straight with the hard questions. This has become very profound. I don't know, just a person trying to, I guess, just work my way through life and trying to get better at something that I'm passionate about, which is stand-up comedy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and you in my bio I introduced you like you were born in Sudan but grew up to Ethiopian parents. How did that happen? Like, how did you grow up in a different place, not in Ethiopia?
Yeah, so my parents are Ethiopian originally, but there was a civil war there. And so they moved to Sudan as refugees. And I was born in that refugee camp, me and all my siblings. I have 3 sisters and 1 brother. And then my cousins actually originally, as part of the UN's refugee program, moved to New Zealand. And then they kind of asked the government to help us move there as well. We were in Sudan still in the refugee camp. And then I think New Zealand has like a refugee program which moves around 800, 900 people a year.
Wow.
And so we got picked out of in that number and moved to New Zealand when I was 7 years old. So in like 99, 98.
Yeah.
And so I lived there most of my life. And then I came to Australia maybe 5 years ago, just to get a change of place, change of scenery, I guess.
And did you come by yourself or did your family come with you?
I already had a cousin and my sister's been here for longer than I have. But the rest of my family are in New Zealand. So I have a cousin here, an auntie, and my sister. So I had people here. That's why I moved to Melbourne instead of any other place.
Yeah, because there's a connection to family. And
yeah, it's easier to kind of, and I also have one of my best university friends here. His whole family moved here before I moved here, so it was easier. He showed me around. It was very daunting coming here first, but having family and friends made it so much easier.
And can I ask you, because I've seen your stand-up show and I've seen you talk about your full-time job. What do you? I know you're smart. You're a smart comedian.
I don't know about that, to be honest. We try to be. Yeah, I work full-time as a physio and then do stand-up comedy on the side. So I came straight after finishing my degree in New Zealand. I decided to come and work here. There were good job opportunities in New Zealand as well, but just needed a change of scenery, I guess. And there's better opportunities here, and the pay is a bit better. And I think New Zealand's quite an expensive country, so you never really end up getting anywhere. You just work your whole life, I guess. Whereas in Australia, there's like a chance you can save money and actually do something. And then like, I didn't even know how big the comedy scene in Melbourne or Australia was before I came, because I had no idea that I was performing in New Zealand as well before I came, but I had no idea how big the scene was here. So that was even an extra bonus when I came, and I was like, wow, there's a show I can do every night if I wanted to. So that was massive. That was a big reason why I'm like still here, I think, as well.
And because we're also speaking on LinkedIn, which is a business platform, and so it sounds like which one is your side hustle? Is comedy your side hustle, or it's like a balance for you? Like,
currently, comedy is a side hustle, definitely. Even though I do it pretty much every night, straight after work.
wow.
So I don't know. They're both like, I do both of them just as much as I do each one. Like I do them the same amount of time. Yeah. So I guess slowly do more comedy, hopefully.
Yeah.
More and more, and as I get better, as I have more bits, I guess that'll be the best. That'll be my goal for now. Eventually, do a show.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the stuff, and I'm waiting for you to do your show.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't. It's gonna be a while, but
no, because you've got. I've seen your comedy, and I love the storytelling that you do. And my next question to you is, what was your first memory of comedy? Like when you started to make people laugh. Do you remember that time in your life?
You mean on stage or just like in everyday life?
Everyday life.
I don't even know. I think someone was asking me this recently as well, and I think I used to just say absurd things, or things I just like that I observed. Like I think at first it was to my mom. I think I used to say stuff to my mom where I would observe something or see something, and then I'll tell her, and she'll tell me off. But then she's kind of laughing as well while she's telling me off.
Yeah.
And then her friends or my aunties will come around and they'll ask her, and then she'll tell them the story, what I just said. And so I'm like confused as to like, it's funny, but don't say that again kind of thing. It's always the case. Yeah. And then I think I used to just say stuff to my friends, and one day my friend was like, you should actually write that down. That's pretty funny. And I never really thought of it. I just say stuff just to make people laugh, but don't think of it as being anything more than that. And he's like, write it down. You could use that one day for something. And I was like, oh, okay. So I used to just jot down things that I thought about. And then I think like 2 years later, I tried stand up and it went horribly.
What did it?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I would say that's the same thing with me. That's how I tested my comedy, was with my family, and then with my classmates. Like I remember grade 6, I would write a funny line about every person in the classroom during show and tell, and that was my time. Yeah, but yeah, that was my way of comedy.
It always starts like that. I think you just have to. You don't even realize you're doing it until someone says that you know what you're doing is pretty funny, or like that's pretty interesting, and then you start saying, oh, I didn't even know that what I was doing was something that people kind of liked and anything.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. If you're joining us LinkedIn and Facebook, tell us where you're watching from. Sam's here. We've got people from Florida, New Mexico, South Carolina, Chicago, Vietnam, New York, Toronto, Florida, Chicago. The Americans are awake. I knew it.
I know. Hello. Hello, Americans.
A lot of Americans are being introduced to Sam, who's a Melbourne comedian and has been working here. You've been in Australia not Australia, but in Melbourne for 5 years.
Yeah, I've been in Melbourne 5 years. This is my 5th year in Melbourne.
Oh, bam. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
My next question to you is, I know this question because you wrote it in your bio. Who inspires your comedy? Who got you to get up and talk and make people laugh?
I think it was like I used to watch when I was in high school. I used to watch the Chappelle Show, which was a sketch show by Dave Chappelle, and I used to just think it was hilarious. Just like it was always a thing you would watch. It would come on every Friday night, and you would watch it after having a basketball game. And I always thought like that would be a cool thing to do, like writing sketches. It wasn't really stand up. It was more like just writing sketches and stuff like that. And then I would just jot stuff down that I thought were funny for sketches to do the same thing Dave Chappelle was doing. And then I realized like, oh, they were more like stand-up bits instead of like sketches.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, maybe I should. A friend said like, maybe you should just try these on stage and see how it goes. Yeah, and so yeah, that's who inspires me and still inspires me from ever since then. I think yeah, he's an inspirational comedian.
Oh man, I love him. He's my top three: Ali Wong, Dave Chappelle, Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin was great. Ali Wong's great as well.
Yeah, and have you seen his latest show on Netflix, the 846?
Oh yeah, I saw it on YouTube, wasn't it?
YouTube. Oh my God, it was like he went there. He went there, and I love.
I wish he had more time to kind of like go like work the material, and like it was still really great. But imagine if he had just a bit more time to work on it, and how great that would have been as well. But I think it was the time everyone was kind of waiting for him to say something, and he just put it out. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
It's perfect segue into talking about darkness, because in that special he talked about darkness and he used comedy to talk about it. And if the audience hasn't seen it, it's on YouTube. Just type it in. I think it's Dave Chappelle 846. I think that's the number. It's poignant. He makes you laugh, but it's thought-provoking. Why is that comedy so important right now in the world?
I think it's like it's the only way to get that sort of information across. I think it has to have this light element to it, but it has to also speak truth. I think that's because I feel like when you just say things that are that dark or speak about topics that are deemed dark, I think people turn away from it and don't want to listen. But if you use your comedy to kind of speak about it, it's like people laugh about it, but then it sends them away thinking about it as well. And I think it's like having that perfect balance of funny and also information, or like your opinion, not opinion, but like what you think of the situation, I guess. Opinion. I would say I try to lean towards that more. And sometimes it doesn't work as well as he does it, because it's kind of like I said, you just have to have that. It's just like that perfect balance of just not saying what you like, not saying it outright, but sometimes just implying it and then making people think about it a bit more. Whereas I tend to just say it blatantly, just say the thing I want to say, and it's kind of turns people away. It turns until I can figure it out. For the first 10, 20 times of doing that, it turns people away. And then after that, you figure, oh, if I do this, then they don't turn away as much. And then slowly, so it's a great kind of skill to have, to talk about that type of stuff. And the people that can talk about that stuff, I think I admire that more.
And that's why say that again, Sam.
And I want my comedy to be more like that rather than anything else.
Yeah. And that's why I really love your comedy, because I remember watching your set about being at your workplace and someone being racist about the names of the person that wanted to come into the room. And I'm going to do this again. It's Gebreselassie.
Yeah.
Right? because
You got it right.
it is such a pet hate for me because I'm a Nguyen, and I
Yeah.
hate it when people. It's the Gert too. Our G is silent, so we must be on the same.
All these bloody G's.
Jeez, but I understand, and that's very important for me. Really important for me because knowing that I've experienced that in this white society when people get my name wrong, I try to drill it in so that it's not an excuse. And I want to talk to you about Black Lives Matter. Being in lockdown, you being a black man, or what would you say, an African New Zealand, like what?
Yeah, black male.
Black male.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you in the last 4 to 5 months? With everything that's happened in the world, and I know like with Sammy, he's done a lot of work with the flats in neighborhood. Yeah, what's Black Lives Matter? How does it affect you?
I think it's I don't like it. Definitely, obviously, it affects me just living as a black male in Australia. But I think I'm very lucky in that in the way I've experienced everything hasn't been the same as a lot of other people or a lot of other friends that I've spoken to, and how what they've gone through. And I think it's just like it's finally like come out. I guess it's always been known, but like no one wanted to voice their concerns about it. And I think what happened to George Floyd and everything, that kind of triggering everyone's like awareness of it has been very important, I guess. And it's sad that someone had to die for that to happen, and I think it was bound to happen.
Yeah, I look, the stats in the US is that there's a death every day. Like, you know, it's not like George Floyd's death was just once in a full moon. It regularly happens with discrimination, prejudice, and ignorance. It's all in the one cloud together. And if we talked about comedy here in Australia, how have you experienced comedy? Because I can speak from my experience. I'm an Asian Australian female woman who decided to go into comedy, which is like the most minority job ever. And from my experience, you know, I only get one spot on the lineup. As a female Asian comedian, it's very rare that I would be on a lineup with, you know, other female comedians who are from the same background as me. How has your experience been on lineups?
Yeah, I think it's the same experience. I think I don't want to be. I think it's important not to kind of. I'd rather not be labeled anything. I'd rather be on a lineup for my, for how good I am, rather than what color my skin is. I think that's very important. And saying that though, there's definitely a lack of diversity in the comedy scene, and I think a lot of the lineups they kind of put 1 or 2 people of color, and then they usually bunch us together or something like that. But I just think then there needs to be more opportunities, and I think like thanking you for putting that opportunity forward, like with your show, and trying to get as many POCs opportunities like you have. I think that's very important, and I hope to do something similar as well.
Yeah, well, when I created the Snort Cast comedy lineup shows, it was just kind of like saying, here's a full rainbow. Like you don't, it doesn't need to be a war. It doesn't need to be all POC. Let's celebrate what true humanity looks like, instead of You know, I'm just doing a show for Asian people. And, you know, one quote that I remember reading from Ali Wong from her book Dear Girls was, when you start curating your jokes to a particular race, you're not opening your jokes to the world. And that's how I see it too. Like it's not even the lineup that needs to be diverse; it's the audience that needs to be diverse. And I think that's true diversity. So that's why I love when I perform, when I produce, and that when you've performed for me, I'm always calling Sam to come perform because his storytelling is relatable, not because of he's a black man, but because he speaks to the human race. He speaks to humanity. So that's why I have you on my show.
Yeah, no, thank you. I love being on the shows, and I think it's also just like if someone's in the audience watching and they're paid to come see a show, I think it's our responsibility as well to give them, I guess, a comic that could relate to them, even like in that would relate to their experiences as well, even if it is based on culture or ethnicity or like job or anything like that. So if the more diverse the lineup is, I guess the more likely the audience members will see someone that they really enjoyed rather than just seeing the whole show and going and being like, I didn't even see anyone that related to me, which was So it works well like that as well. It's not just for us, it's for them as well, I guess.
Yeah. This is a question to our audience watching on LinkedIn and Facebook. Who is your favorite comedian and why? Why your favorite comedian? And you know what's really funny, Sam? Today is actually Robin Williams' 69th birthday.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
It's a special day.
It's a special day. I just remembered it because his daughter is donating $69.69 to charities today.
Oh,
to celebrate his life. And if I could speak about Robin Williams, I just love the energy he has on stage. When he came on, his whole being was just alive. It wasn't just joke. His whole body was into it. Other than Dave Chappelle, who else is who's inspiring you to do more work?
I think, who have I been watching recently? I think Mark Normand who releases special on YouTube. I just like his writing is just it's next level.
All right, cool.
He's just very quick and it's very, very like clever stuff. A bit controversial at times, but like really, really good stuff.
Okay, love it. I love the sound of it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, like now know about a bit about your story in the last half an hour, if you had to write a book about your life, what would the title of the book be called?
That's a hard one.
So Michelle Obama has Becoming. Who else is there?
It'll be called Long Walk to Freedom. Copy Nelson Mandela.
Version 2.
Yeah. I haven't been to jail yet, so.
I love it.
I thought of maybe I thought this one for a show maybe I'm a refugee, get me out of here.
Yeah.
It's just like a copy of I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
Okay, this is just gossip that's happening in the world, but have you been catching up with Kanye West stuff?
Oh yeah, I watched his video just recently on YouTube. That was like,
he's balling.
I love the guy's music and like how creative he is and everything, but just needs to slow down with his political stuff.
Oh, he's going hard. And speaking of Dave Chappelle went and visited him to see how he was doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
because Kanye's been very open that he has bipolar, and there is a particular genius to him, and that's what I see with Dave Chappelle. There's this beautiful flow of genius when they speak and when they in their artistry.
Yeah, I would love to
so-
see an interview between even just Dave Chappelle. Like Dave Chappelle doesn't do interviews, but like I wish there was someone that could get him sit down and just talk for a couple of hours.
Yes.
Have you seen his video on there's like a 3-hour video on YouTube of him doing stand up.
Oh, really?
Like it's actually funny the whole way through. And this is apparently he just popped into a club and it was like 1 in the morning. And people stay until like 3, 4 in the morning just to listen to him. And it's just like it's a lot of I think with him it's just like he connects a lot of dots together and just makes very opinionated, but like everything makes sense when he like puts it together.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and that's why I love America. They comedy scenes until 4, 5 a.m. It's not like here in Australia where they go to bed at 10.
Yeah, imagine that. I mean, yeah, to a comedy show to make someone laugh at like 4 in the morning is quite the art on its own.
It is.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, because we're on LinkedIn and there are a lot of people here who want to put comedy into their storytelling, who want to stand up and make an audience laugh. What would be your tip on how people can share their stories? Like how did you get to be where you are? What would be your first tip?
I think especially if you want to do stand up or anything like that, if you want to tell your stories on stage, I would just say get up anywhere you can and just talk. That like doesn't matter if it's not funny, doesn't matter if it makes sense, doesn't matter if it doesn't make. Just go up and just talk whatever you want to say, and maybe just jot down, just jot down little notes of what the story is and what you want to say, just like bullet points, and then go up and just talk and talk and talk. I think that was the first tip I got from people was like, because I did my first set at a music open mic at my uni, and it was like just a packed out house, and the MC goes, "Oh, we've got someone to try comedy." And as soon as I got up, everyone just went quiet and just faced me. So, and as soon as I turned around to look at them, I realized like everyone was actually paying attention. So I just and that was my first time ever. And then I just had nothing in my brain, like just it all went out, like not even, I had no idea at all. And so after that, I didn't get up for like a year afterwards, and I found this group that were meeting up, the stand-up group workshop that were meeting up every Sunday. So I went to see what they were doing. They were just like telling each other their jokes. And they told me, they said, you just have to get up. Like, doesn't matter if you bombed once, you just have to get up again. Like, that's the only way you're going to get better. And I would say, no, I'm not getting up. And every Sunday I would go and just talk with them and just tell them my ideas, and they say these are good ideas, but you have to get it. Like, you're not going to get better unless you get up on stage and like perform. And it took like 3-4 months before, after going to those workshops, to actually get up. And once I did get up, I was like, oh, what was wrong with me? I should have got up like 3-4 months ago. Like, it's just that doesn't matter how bad you think you are, how good you, like, you just have to get up. And I think that's the best lesson I've learned about stand-up, is it's an art form where you have to perform. Like, you have to get up and talk, even if it is to 2 people, 3 people, 1 person, doesn't matter. At least your brain is like working in that atmosphere and it's trying to figure things out. Yeah, so it was such a, every time I meet someone now, I'm like, if they tell me they want to do stand-up, I'm like, yep, just get up. Just get up on stage. Yeah.
Just get it on stage and just do it. We've got some people commenting saying "Be real, be human" from Sheila. Someone said their favorite comedian is Richard Pryor.
Yeah. Same.
We've got our friend here, Lee Ton, saying Joe Cocker.
Yeah, great.
And yeah, it's a really great tip about just standing up and getting just because, you know, since you first started doing stand up, you've gotten better, right? That's the idea.
Oh yeah, of course. It's I would hope so, at least. That's it was oh, thank you. Maybe she knows someone that's named Samuel Gebreselassie. There's actually a very common name. Like if you go on Facebook and write Samuel Gebreselassie, there's so many Samuel Gebreselassies out there.
Yeah, well, I went onto LinkedIn trying to find you, and there is a couple of Samuel Gebreselassie.
Yeah. Samuel is just like Gebreselassie is a very common name in Ethiopia, and then Samuel as well from the Bible is a very common name. So everyone's called Samuel.
High five. Nguyen.
Oh yeah, Nguyen is like the. What about Diana? That's
Princess Diana. You know, yeah.
Were you named by that? From her? Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Yeah, my whole family is named after the royal family. So Princess Diana, Princess Anne, Princess Sarah Fergie.
Oh my God.
Do that in my next line.
It makes sense now. I see paparazzi behind you everywhere you go.
Well, I'm actually holding the camera.
I was wondering why they were following you around.
And we're just going to end with this question. You know, we're in a pandemic. Melbourne is on lockdown. Comedy is on hiatus. Live comedy is. What's your next journey? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Oh, yeah, I think I'm just, I'm really trying to get better at just writing my jokes out and trying to figure out how to make them funnier, because I feel like I used to just get up on stage so often. I used to get up like 6 to 8, even like 12 times a week on stage. And because I didn't have the time to write, I would go straight from work and just get up on stage and just try stuff out. And then I'll figure it out that way. But because I don't have that anymore, it's like, it's a new way of learning how to actually sit down and write pen and paper. Just trying to do that more, just trying to write an hour of comedy and hopefully perform it at a festival and get Diana Nguyen finished hopefully and get it out there. Yeah, and just keep getting better at this thing that's so hard to get better at.
It is. It is hard to get better when there is no audience to tell you that you're shit or good.
Yeah. I don't know what's funny anymore, to be honest. Yeah, it's just so bad.
Well, I'm laughing at my own self, so you know.
Maybe I just need to call you and just tell you my jokes. Get a positive reinforcement.
Yeah. Sam, thanks so much for being on the show today. It was really beautiful to hear your story. And, you know, who inspires you? It's really great to get to know you even more because, as we said, like we only get to see each other when we do stand-up, like when we go past each other.
I know. No, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. It's great what you're doing for everyone, especially the POC community, and keep doing what you're doing. Love it.
Thank you to our audience for joining us on the SnortCast from LinkedIn and Facebook. You've been such a wonderful community. And if you want to follow us, please follow, there we go. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, the SnortCast, and we will see you next Tuesday for our next interview with Lizzie, who's going to be speaking about comedy all the way from Sydney. And we will all see you next time. And before we go, I just want to show a clip because I've never done this before. I'm still learning how to navigate this. Here we go.